Magnus.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another Loot Crate discussion. This time, I'm going to be talking about Legends figures. And the reason for this is I have seen quite a number of people, well, let's just say I've seen some collectors who are kind of riding the fence like an Italian pony as far as whether or not they want Legends. They kind of do, they kind of don't. Some don't like them at all, and I totally get that. Now, I should say, I stumbled into the Legends game completely by accident. This was after I'd started collecting Masterpiece. And it was around Christmas. You know, Christmas 2018, of course. That was the last Christmas we had. But I kind of stumbled on a figure, and it's this one here. This is Magic Square's Flame Patrol. Now, I ordered it. I saw, just from the picture, I couldn't tell that it was so wee bitty bitty tiny. But I liked the way it looked, and I was like, wow, I don't really have, Masterpiece Red Alert right now. So I'll take a look at this one and see if I like it. Well, turns out between him and Iron Factory's Shrike's Feather, I saw them and I was like, well, I kind of like these figures. Let me buy those and see what we got. So this was a complete and total accident that I got into it. But once I actually got into it, that was kind of all she wrote. Because I really do like these figures. Now, I've been meaning to do a Loot Crate video proper on these, on the figures themselves, the Legends figures, but I'm not really totally sure about the about how I'd really go about showing them off. And let me probably should have grabbed this before the show, but it's in the drawer right here. Now, this is what I usually use as a measurement device. Now, just to measure it, to give you an idea, if it's beside of a Legends figure, it's like, well, just a little over 2 1/4 inches tall. This thing's just over 2 1/4 inches. So if a bot's standing beside of it, this is 2 1/4 inches, or just a couple of marks over 2 1/4. So you kind of already have an idea of how tall the figure is just by how it's standing beside that lighter. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I'll show you some from my collection. Like I'll show you a couple of comparisons I've done, some sets, things of that nature. And honestly, before I start, I've got to say, if you have kids and you want to collect with them, or if you're strapped for cash, the price tag on these are usually pretty decent. The most expensive one that I own, I'll show here in a couple minutes, and I'll tell you which one it is. But even the most expensive one I got was just right at $75 by itself. But for a Legends figure, it's pretty big. So I'll show you the couple of the more expensive ones that I have. I'll show you a set that I have, a couple of comparisons, and like I said, if you have kids and you want to collect with them, these can actually be played with. And because of the lower price and the fact that the materials they're made of are not really a hard plastic, but they're a harder plastic, just with the price tag and how it wouldn't cost that much to replace them, and the fact that they are made out of a decently durable plastic that kids could play with, that makes it a lot less like if your kids are playing with your Masterpiece figures, I'd imagine you'd freak the hell out a lot quicker than you would if you caught them playing with the Legends figures. The only downside is their weapons are a lot smaller, and in some cases they would be a lot easier to lose. But you can stick them on a shelf and they are just as presentable as a masterpiece figure. So for those of you who are riding that fence hard like an Italian pony, let's get into it and see what you think after I've said my piece. Now before I properly start this video, I want to just give you a couple of comparisons, give you a flavor for the Legends class, as it were. Now, this first picture you're seeing right here, this is, of course, Magic Square's Flame Patrol. Now, the comparison I want to show you, this is a picture here of Flame Patrol with Takara's version of Red Alert. Now, as you can see, is a little bit of a size difference. And they do look pretty decent together. Now, I've changed out Red Alert for Bad Cube's Recon, but even still, Magic Square's version looks really good as a Legends class Red Alert. Now here's another comparison here. This is Maketoy's Downbeat and New Age's Monero. Now I love both of them really. Maketoy's Downbeat is really the best jazz I've seen so far. I've only seen two, just to be fair. But to me, it's a great comparison, because if you look at the two of them together, other than the fact that Monero's headlights are blue, and Downbeat's Downbeat's headlights are sort of a translucent, I guess, sort of darker plastic, they look almost dead identical. And now, to be fair, Monero doesn't have the little fishing rod hand, but he does have the little shoulder speakers, and they can attach to the rear of his vehicle mode. Now, to me, they look good. Now, the doors on Downbeat fold up in his back, and that's how you hide those. With the Monero, they actually did something pretty ingenious as far as I'm concerned. You can fold over the doors and hide them in his legs. And it like I said though, looking at the two of them side by side, it's like me and Mini-Me. So they really look good together. Now another comparison I can show you here is Bad Cube's Huff with Magic Square's Strongman, their version of Huffer. And I really like Strongman. He looks like a very good little huffer. Now, I hate that his face was darkened in a little bit, but I took a lot of these pictures before I learned a whole lot about lighting and got a better camera, so pardon that. But as you can see, the truck mode. Now, the hands don't move on Strongman. That's a downside. But if you look at the vehicle modes, they look not dead identical, but they look close enough. You can tell it's Huffer. Other than the rims not being painted, or the fact that they actually painted Strongman's bumper and didn't do it to Huff. Of course, I did that to Huff later, so that's no big deal. But like I said, just Masterpiece versus Legends, they look darn good. I mean, they'll display on a shelf just as good as any other. And just to show you right quick, this is my version of Optimus Prime that I have, my Legends version. This is DX9's Dutch. Now, my disappointment was he didn't come with roller, but I am getting Magic Square's version, Light of Justice. And he does come with all of it, including roller. And now, from what I understand, Light of Justice is a little bit bigger. So I'll probably take a picture and compare those later. But even still, they look really good. So with that, now let's get a proper start on this video. Now let's go ahead and start off. This is a piece from my collection, or my Legends collection. This is Iron Factory's Lord Scorpion. And like I said before, he is the most expensive Legends bot that I've bought to date. I think he was around $75 just by himself. He's not really the biggest. Yeah, as far as it goes, he's supposed to be one of the city bots, but really that base mode's kind of small. I at some point I'll probably need to, do a side-by-side comparison with him and one of my other bots. But as far as it goes, he's the most expensive that I've purchased. He's the most expensive one that I'm personally aware of. So he was right around $75. Now another one that was fairly expensive, but it looks really good. This is Iron Factory's Cygnus. He's their version of Skyfire. Now he comes with like two different heads, one that looks more like the Valkyrie that he originally spawned from, and the one that I have on him that looks like the actual face from G1 Cartoon. Now one thing you do need to know is Iron Factory is pretty stylistic. They go more for the IDW Comics look than anything else. But they do have some really gorgeous bots, like this one here. This is Iron Factory's Pink Assassins, their version of RC. And yeah, she's fairly simplistic, but she's like the tiniest. And while she's the tiniest Iron Factory bot that I'm aware of. Now the tiniest one that I actually have is right here, New Age's Flipper. He's their version of Bumblebee, and you've never seen a more adorable wee bee in your life. The drawback, you can see he's got a little gun in his hand. That gun would be so painfully easy to lose if you're not careful. But he's got a great little transformation. I have no problem with any New Age figures as far as that goes, because they look really good. They have the G1 aesthetic nailed down. And if you look in this little group shot here, this gives you an idea. Now, I've got Bumblebee kind of knelt down on one knee, but from tallest to largest, this is just like a mixture of my bots that I have that are legend size. And of course they're in front of a background that I bought from Toy Hacks, which they sell more than just the repro labels, the stickers and things. So they do look good together as far as I'm concerned. And this is what I've touched on a couple of times, is they have sort of a shelf presence, if you want to call it that. The Mega Supreme in the back, that's Mech Fans Toys MF34 Huge Dragon here. This is him in his bot mode and his base mode. Now this was before I got a hold of the repro labels for him. But even still, he still looks really, really good. And I mean, he looks really good as an Omega Supreme, and his base mode even looks really good as far as I'm concerned. And if you stand him in a group of your bots, especially the legend size, he's got that presence. He just kind of stands out, and he's just tall enough. Now, there are some knockoffs as far as that goes, and I'll show a few of those coming up next. Now, some people have talked about knockoffs as far as Masterpiece Transformers go. There are some in the world of Legends too, I'm not gonna lie. The first up knockoffs you have is this Seekers here. These are the Pocket Toys version of the DX9 Starscream, Skywarp, and Thundercracker. Now, I don't remember. I don't remember what they're called on what DX9 calls them. But like I said, this is the Pocket Toys version, which means they're 1-to-1 identical. Now they don't have a great transformation as far as I'm concerned. They do look good. They have a shelf presence, but they don't look as good as they could. Now I'm excited because Magic Square announced that they have a set coming out, which I talked about in Loot of Tomorrow. That's this set here that's still in grayscale, but hey, at some point they will be coming out with them. Now another knockoff. Now this is the McFans Toys Sharkticon. This is just one of them. You get 3 in a pack for about $30. They have one that's kind of different. He's the leader of the group, and then you get 2. So you could easily spend $90 and get 9 of them. Kind of troop build a little bit. Now I don't know if you'd want to keep more than one leader, because his tail's spray painted gold. His little tail club is gold. And he's got more translucent, lighter purples and things. But if you wanted a troop build with him, it'd be easy enough. $90 for 3 packs of them, and there you go. You've got a whole bunch of them. Now another knockoff that I got, and this is where you get into kind of stranger territory. This is the Legend size Overlord that I got. Now he's a KO oversized, but really for the character, and considering that he's one of those that I'm going to be putting on a different shelf from my bots proper, he's definitely one that I can deal with, because he came with 2 swords, his gun. He's got his base mode, his tank, and his tank and plane mode, which honestly his base mode I don't really care about personally, but that's really kind of neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned. But there again, that, like I said though, the Legend size do look good. Now here, this is McFans Toys Megatron, and he's their version of Megatron, which I think don't quote me on this, but I think he's supposed to be a knockoff of DX9's version. Now I transformed him, and just holding him in my hand, it's like, I kind of felt like Will Smith and Men in Black. I feel like I'm gonna break this damn thing, but it's not that easily breakable. Now the transformation does kind of scare you a little bit, but as you can see in the picture, his transformation it's pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie. He's not as posable as I'd like him to be. Now there are a lot of the bots that are more posable in the Legends scale, but I think those are more of the newer ones that they've came out with over time. Like here's one that I had to get. This is Iron Factory's their version of Windblade. I think this was the Hunter version, the IFEX05H, the Hunter version, which other than the headpiece has more of the look of Windblade. And I'll be totally honest with you, this figure I could see doing like a Metroplex cosplay and have her little teeny weeny butt standing on my shoulder, just in a full Metroplex cosplay, which I am thinking about, but I'm not much into cosplay, but it would be something fun to do, I think. But she's not as posable as I'd like her to be, but also she's not that delicate, because you probably can't tell from looking at them, but a lot of these Legends figures, a lot of them rely more on ball joints. So if you move something too far one way or the other, they're not as prone to break. I mean, the ball joint will pop off and, oh no, I broke the arm. Oh wait, look, it's a ball joint. I can just pop it right back into place, throw them back in the game. But that's what I really like, and just how tiny they are, and they don't really cost that much. I mean, like I said, Iron Factory's Lord Scorpion and Iron Factory's Cygnus, and wow, even Iron Factory's Tyrant, which he's their version of Megatron, which he's the one in the middle of this group of Decepticons here. He's my Legends version of Megatron. Those were the most expensive ones. Now, Huge Dragon here, he's actually about $50 or $60, so he's up there price wise too, but he's pretty big, comparatively speaking. He and The picture I show of him here, you know, the picture I showed earlier, he has a lot more parts with him than just this. It's just all superfluous crap that I didn't need or want. So I'm kind of getting rid of it. But even still, for the price, they're not that bad, and they're all pretty damn durable. And they've got pretty complex transformations just out of the fact that they're so small. I mean, they're not as well. They're probably not as complex as your typical masterpiece size, but they are pretty damn complex. You know, like try to imagine the transformation for old Magic Square's transporter. They're Ultra Magnus here. Try to imagine how you get that to that and back, and you'll kind of see what I mean. They're pretty complex. They're not really hard. If you mess around with them a little bit, you can show your kids how to do it easily. And that's pretty much it on my little talk about Legends figures here. And that's going to do it for the Magnus's Loot Crate discussion on Legends figures. I'd like to personally welcome all of my new subscribers, and at the same time thank Tiderium Hanger for the shout out on one of his last couple of videos. I sincerely appreciate it. For the new subscribers, welcome to the show. Hopefully as entertaining to you to watch as it is for me to make. I do kind of enjoy this. I do it for fun. I'm also over on BitChute for those of you who may be kind of getting a little sick of the YouTubes and all the horse crap that's going on over here, but you're welcome to do it either way. When YouTube dies, I'm already over on BitChute, so you know to look for me. But that's pretty much it as far as Legends figures go. I plan to do probably a loot of tomorrow pretty soon on a couple of figures I've seen that are coming out. And that's pretty much going to do it. That's Magnus's Loot Crate discussion on Legends figures. I will see you next time.